Hello everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day. It has been a minute. I am actually in the middle of a move, so if you're hearing the audio is a little odd, I do sincerely apologize. About 70% of my house has been sold off or moved, so I am sitting in a very empty room right now. So it's kind of a little crazy, but yeah, we have a lot to cover today, so we are absolutely just gonna be diving into it. We're gonna be covering Rival Stars, who has been like seriously kicking ass with some desktop updates. We're gonna be covering Equinox, who has made a major update, I believe about a month ago, and we're also gonna be looking at Windstorm and a couple of other games that have also been pushing forward for some great updates. But let's get into it. Sorry for the echo again. Legend of Khiimori, the Windstorm Legend of Khiimori, has seen a lot of updates in the last couple of months or so, and I'm actually pretty excited for the development of the game so far. We're going to be looking at a bunch of stuff today. They actually released a trailer for gameplay. I have mixed feelings about it, but let's first get into the developer diary number 11, where they have thousands of bug fixes and other improvements. So essentially what they're saying here is that they used to have around 30 people that did QA testing, and now they have over 8,000. Now, as they sort of explain, that means that a lot more bugs are being found and recorded and fixed. So it's taking a lot more time to fix these bugs, but you know, it's a double-edged sword sort of thing. You know, you can get very bad information or you can get very good information, but I am very happy to see that they are pushing for bug tests, because the previous game from SSO Interactive was Horse Tales Emerald Valley Ranch, and that game had a ton of issues. So it's really good to see that they're really pushing for bug fixes and trying to get this thing smoothed out. And of course, the fact that they're making a much larger game means that a lot more tests are required. So it's very good to see that this is happening, and yeah, so very good on them for kind of pushing to get the bugs fixed for the game. Now they touch on two things here that I actually want to chat about. The first thing is the level design, and I'm going to read this out. So our level designers have encountered an interesting problem. Many of our travel distances in the game were too short at the moment, not really leaving the player enough room to encounter interesting challenges along the way. This has led to a lot of careful planning on how to expand the game map. Our goal is that any career mission is never straightforward as ride from A to B in a straight line, but that players will always face some options, emphasis on some, and decisions along the road, thanks to mechanics such as difficult terrain, resources along the way, dangerous wildlife, various points of interests, and other obstacles. So this is a very interesting issue. I'm going to be mentioning two games here. The first one that comes to mind is Shadow of the Colossus. Now, Shadow of the Colossus is a game that is 50% travel, 50% boss fights. That's essentially the game. And then a teeny tiny little percent, 0.1, maybe a little bit of story. It's a very strange game, but it's a very good game. But a lot of it is travel. The thing with Shadow of the Colossus that was interesting is that the game never felt empty. The game never felt boring. It was empty, but it evoked a very certain feeling. Now, this is, of course, the opposite to what they're trying to do with Windstorm. With Windstorm, they're going to have to try and fill up the world with interesting things in order to keep the player engaged and to ensure that the distances aren't shorter. Now that creates the issue of one of two things. They're either one, gonna have to make the environment interesting enough to traverse, like within Kingdom Come Deliverance. Now of course their team isn't as big, but in Kingdom Come Deliverance you'll notice that the game isn't as big as, say, for example, Red Dead Redemption, but the roads were still very interesting to ride despite the short distances. Now, the key difference here is that the horse were simply transport. They were not the main gameplay element of the game. So with Windstorm, they're obviously having this issue where they have to ensure that the gameplay is interesting enough to keep players engaged. If the distances are too short, that's going to be causing issues. So the first thing that kind of pops to mind in my head is to ensure that the environment is interesting enough, in that there are a lot of hills and downs and valleys and thick bushes that you can't ride through, which is very realistic for horses. You can't ride everywhere with a horse. So instead of making the world larger, you can just make the world more interesting or difficult to traverse. Now that creates the issue with horse riding tales that created sort of tunnels that you sort of rode in, which was weird. Like you had passageway, hallways, not really open world. So I can kind of see the issue with this. It's going to be interesting to see how they use this with a small budget, small game. Are they going to make the world larger? Are they going to transform the way that the game is sort of played? Like it's going to be very interesting to see how they kind of get over this obstacle. Now the second point that they kind of discuss is the breeding. Now Okay, I'm going to read this out. Our horse breeding interface is heavily being worked on, and we're excited to share a new teaser. The plan is that by using specific food items, you can influence the outcome of your foal's looks, all with genetically plausible based on our coat color genetic system, where a real-life pairing between top two Polymino horses can randomly result in a chestnut. Polymino or Cremello horse, for example, will give our players a bit of influence over the over the result if they choose to invest in invest the resources. So here we have a breed Mongolian coat-colored chestnut. You can see kind of the, here you can, I believe this is kind of the idea. If you give this, you might get, you can bump up the chances for this. I believe that's sort of the way that it works. So it's interesting. Like I'm also you make it very clear here, this is pre-alpha. So all of this is subject to change. That's one of the reasons why I don't really look at these things and I take it with a grain of salt. Because here it says, for example, sun lover, gregarious animal, coward, wind lover, loyal. This suggests the idea that the environment is going to have an effect on the horse. This might be dropped. I don't know if it is. They can't tell me definitely. So this might be dropped. I don't know. But the point is that you're going to be able to influence the horse's looks through feeding. Now, I have a few thoughts on this. I understand giving players the chance to sort of have an effect on the coat color. Now, I have a bone to pick with horse games and coat colors. I blame Rival Stars. Sorry, Rival Stars. I'm always taking shots at you. But the thing that I have a problem with, and I'm going to have to explain this very carefully. I think Rival Stars did it very well. I'm going to be very honest. I think that they understood what players wanted was the ability to create horses that look good, but that also, they can breed them, and they have, even I find a lot of fun in breeding the horses, even though I don't give a damn about coat colors. Now, with that being said, I think a lot of developers have sort of taken the idea of coat colors too deeply to heart. Ranch of Rivershine being one of them. Ranch of Rivershine has become a coat color simulator. And I am... Hello, cat. I am kind of concerned that that Windstorm is going to become the same. Coat colors are such a low point of interest to me for the rest of the game that I honestly just don't care. I just honestly think that they have to focus on what is important, which is gameplay. So this was an odd game that I really want to kind of look at. This game is called Spirit Horse Simulator, and it is a very bizarre game, and I don't know why this game exists, because there is nothing here that says this is made by DreamWorks, and yet we have, and I'm going to show this to you, my good golly, let me just pop this one open a little bit, there we go. And we have, I'm going to show you this now. We have Spirit. That looks awful. Like, that looks like a very mangled Spirit, but we have Spirit. That's Spirit. That's the model of Spirit. And I don't know how this is possible. I just don't understand this. Now, the adult version of Spirit looks a lot different than the Spirit that we find in DreamWorks. And it looks like it does have its own unique story. That horse does not have a tail. That's kind of weird. And it's interesting. It feels a little bit like Lucky's Big Adventure sort of vibe. And I don't know how they're getting away with essentially using, Spirit's thing. It feels so weird. Like, look at this. This is Spirit. That is Spirit's thing. I don't know how that's possible. And it's odd. So they do have like their first devlog is Our Journey Begins. This was posted on the 14th of July. I mean, there's even a train track there. It feels so Spirit. I don't know why. Alright, so what is a Spirit Horse Simulator? In Spirit Horse Simulator, you step into the hooves of a free-spirited horse exploring a vast living world. Gallop across breathtaking open landscapes, survive the challenges of nature, bond with your herd, and discover your own unique path through the wilderness. It's more than just a simulation. It's about living the untamed life of a wild horse and experiencing the true spirit of freedom and adventure. This was clearly written by AI. I will be very surprised if this is not written by AI. So join us on this adventure. Oh, sorry, let's see what's next. So they're expanding the world, they're designing new quests, publishing survival elements and customization, polishing survival elements, preparing an early build. Now, this game doesn't look like it's too big or too serious, but my issue that I have with it is it feels it feels like it's drawing a lot of inspiration from Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, which is not an issue in of itself, but I don't think you can do that. I have no idea. But this brings us into the next issue, which is another game that is sort of making the rounds as soon as I can find it, which is called Sound of Horses. Now, this game has been brought to my attention a few times. It looks very star stable. It looks so star stable. Like, a lot of these environments are just so... Look at this. This feels so heavily old star stable. And someone mentioned that they think the reason that this is happening is because the what's the game? A Better SSO has sort of pulled out all the files from Star Stable, and this is sort of the situation that we find. Now, not all the assets are obviously Star Stable, but this is Star Stable. Like, this is old Star Stable. I'll just play some of the old Star Stable footage to give you guys an idea. It's not 100% identical, but it has a lot of... Look at that. That is old Star Stable. Like, some of these trees, the environments, the feeling, the atmosphere, it's so Star Stable. So I'm curious... That lighthouse as well. The textures, it's just... I don't know if they put that bridge. I'm sorry, but it's so star stable. Now, it's interesting to see this, and I'm curious to see if anyone can... Oh, and then we have crop circles, just kind of thrown in there. Are we going to have aliens? I wouldn't mind. I like aliens. If you read the description, it's going to be... They're going to have episodes. So... You're going to create your own rider or horse. It's going to be an adventure game, clearly. And it doesn't look like you're going to have any breeding. It looks like it's going to be a straight one-off adventure game. Which is fine. Like, I like adventure games. I have no issue with that. I'm not making accusations that they did asset flip, essentially Star Stable. What I think myself and a lot of people are saying is that the game looks a lot like Star Stable, which is a little concerning. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you guys think this game is Star Stable? Do you think that it is its own unique thing? Do you think it's unique enough to be its own thing? Do you think it is just an upgraded version of Star Stable? What do you guys think? I'm curious to hear what you say. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it, and I'm definitely, hopefully, going to play it as soon as it comes out, or 6 months or a year after it comes out. Alright, so the next one that we're going to be discussing is, let me just open this, is Equinox, which has been creating a bit of a buzz. I'm personally not very impressed with it, but I will be hopefully getting the review out in a couple of weeks or so, just as soon as my move has been settled. So let's take a quick look at some of the new content that they've added, which was added on the 8th of July. So, they say that they have now added an emote system. So you can pet your horse, you can find a jokester on the island, laugh at their antics, clap to show you're impressed, want to celebrate, share a high five with others, show that hospitable Alderwood spirit by waving to new and old friends, feeling down in the dumps over a lost race, let others know with a sad emote. I need that sad emote because I'm sad. No, I'm sad. No, I'm not kidding. Alright. But they've also added a couple of gear, and they've also added some quality of life improvement, which is great, and of course bug fixes. Now, the big thing that they did add was a new episode. The episode so far, I believe, has been pretty mixed. Some people are happy, some people aren't. Most people are pretty upset by the fact that Equinox is still not adding, actual freaking cutscenes. They're just adding these quick little, images, which is not doing the game any favors at this point, right? People want to see the damn cutscenes. And it makes the game feel very, cheap in a way. So it's kind of a mixed bag at this point with Equinox. I'm curious to see where it goes, but at this point, I almost don't want to play it because it's just too fresh. But yes, I do believe it is a good time to review the game now because they have had a lot of time to update it and get some of the bugs fixed. And it is on 15% sale. Wow, that's good to know. Yes, go buy the game now. It is on 15% sale off. And to be fair, if you buy the game now, you won't be paying for it again because they are going to be adding a subscription fee to this game. So be aware of that and be cautious. Also, there's Abigail playing the game. Hi, Abby. All right, so next one we're going to be chatting about actually is Rival Stars. Now, Rival Stars has been actually kicking a little bit of ass, especially for the desktop version. They have added the Akal tech. They have also added the sand dunes for us to ride in, which is really awesome. my cat is playing with a little bit of paper. It's chaos here. So yes, they have added the Akaltech, and they have also added traits. They've added the long mane trait, and now they're adding the crystal coat, which is something really cool. The trait system is something that has been exclusive to the mobile version, so seeing this kind of getting ported over to the desktop is awesome, and it opens the door for having more traits and more gameplay, and making the game more interesting. It breathes a lot of new life into the game. And I'm actually very thankful that they continue to update the desktop and not change the pricing of the game, which is pretty cool. The fact of the matter is they've added a whole new place for us to ride, they've started to add traits, and we have a new horse breed. This is great. They're really bolstering and kind of expanding on the desktop edition. And yeah, I think that Rival Stars is doing great, and it does seem like the company is, or the game itself, is doing well enough for these updates to be made without needing to ask more money. And I'm very grateful for it, because I do like Rival Stars. I think that there is a lot of merit to the game. I do have my issues with it, but I will get into that another time when I get to the review, which I've been hoping to do for so many years now. But yes, Rival Stars has been doing great. They've added a lot new stuff for the desktop edition, and yeah, I'm going to probably be playing it soon. Again. So for the next thing, I am briefly just going to touch on something that I'm pretty excited about. Not excited about, intrigued. This was a game I accidentally came across. Medieval Horse Dealer. Now this is a indie game, of course, and I'm just going to show you some pictures of it. It looks jank. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this game looks jank. But I'm a medieval fan girl, and I'm a horse fan girl, so this is something that absolutely scratches all the itches. So it says here, trade horses, formulate, feed, and breed generations of elite stallions, racehorses, draft horses, war horses, and more. Mine ores, forge equipment and weapons to sell in your store, or equip them to your horses. Dominate the medieval horse trade. Now, as someone who is, like I said, huge fan of medieval games, and I'm a huge fan of horse games in general, this is something that did appeal to me. I'm curious to see if the game will ever come out. I'm hoping it's a good game. I have no idea how good it's gonna be, but it has me curious. I'm always curious about new horse games. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to be chatting about is Star Stable. So this is something just to kind of cover this. Recently, I have been seeing a lot of issues that people have been bringing up about insane amounts of lags after last week's update. This is about a week ago now. So people are experiencing this on Android specifically. Now, but this isn't the only person. Like, a lot of people have been mentioning this. Anyone else getting crashes, a technical difficulty since last week. SSO and there's been a new ban wave apparently. Sorry, that was random. I did not mean to include that into there. So the current update that they have is Buddy Supercob says, I had an update from the team today about Android. To give them credit, it was detailed and helpful, so gratitude for that. In summary, the fix is complex and they have had to reach out to external specialists. A fix is expected at the start of August. So it is interesting to see that a lot of people seem to be having these problems, but the update will be changed at the start of August once they can get that sort of sorted. But I will say that something that has been interesting to me recently is that players aren't extremely happy with the current updates for Star Stable. Now, I will say that Star Stable has, shrunk a little bit. Plus, it has been a summer, so according to American logic, like, this is winter for me, so I have no idea. But apparently people take breaks over the summer in June and July. So probably they're all going to start coming back, and we're hopefully going to be seeing better updates for Star Stable coming up. So I don't know what to say about this. I mean, we've always had the issue with Star Stable that just doesn't really push for good updates. They often focus on recycling old content and just making horses just to sell. It's kind of exhausting to see the whole time, but hopefully they'll be able to fix that. Now, the last thing that I just want to mention is that Star Stable released the Jorvik mountain horse. So I just want to say this. I'm very disappointed. So, just to give you a brief overview, the Jorvik Mountain Horse is the Rocky Mountain Horse. That's what this horse is. It's the Rocky Mountain Horse. When I first heard that they were going to make a Jorvik Mountain Horse, I thought that this was going to be a unique breed to Star Stable again, like we had the Jorvik, the Jorvik Wild. That's what I thought. And then we get just another like real world horse breed. Now I'm very happy to everyone who loves this breed. I'm very happy for you. And I'm happy that, that the horse looks good. God damn it, but I was disappointed. It is the weirdest thing to be disappointed about. But it was so disappointing. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out of my system. I am so sad. I thought this was going to be a Jorvik Mountain Horse. I thought this was going to be like a unique horse. But nah. We get a modern, ordinary horse. I'm gonna say ordinary, but it's great. I'm so happy for everyone who wanted this horse. I so badly wanted a unique horse for Jorvik. I wish they would do that more. I wish they would push for more unique breeds. But I will say this for Star Stable, despite all the issues, and I think that that is something that we need to also keep in mind. Star Stable has had a lot of ups and downs of late, and I do think that despite the ups and downs, they really seem to be trying to do a lot better in a lot of ways. Like, I don't think they always hit, but I do think that they're getting more hits than misses. God, that trot is awful. And I do want to see Star Stable succeed, as I want to see all horse games succeed. You never want to see a horse game fail. That's the saddest thing in the world when that happens, right? But yeah, that's going to be it for me. So I will be doing another video next week just to cover all the horse games that I didn't cover right now. I do have a lot on my plate currently, seeing as I am in the middle of a move. Another video will be coming out on Sunday, hopefully Sunday, possibly Monday, depending on how the editing goes. It's been a wild ride, but thank you all for being patient with me, and yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Bye.